All right, everybody. We're about to do that thing you like for the next 30 minutes or so. Jeff Ulrich is here. Emerson Latzia, it's yours truly. AC on the ones and twos, producer Eamon behind the scenes, baby. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of Das Slate. It's going to be hot. We're going to talk a lot about football. We're going to talk a lot about golf. Dudes, you can roll a good meatball. Jeff has promised some of his best bets around the NHL tonight. I'm excited. How you doing
Good
today?
ones. I'm not just going to give you like the standard like free bets. Like these are the Platinum Club member bets you're going to get tonight. So
Platinum Club, hot diggity damn, dude. You're a man who delivers.
Thank you.
You're fantastic and special. And as I'm looking at the screen, speaking of special, we're all special every Thursday night when we sit through Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Right now, the line's not even up on the DK Sportsbook because I think the entire Saints team is injured. What the hell's going on?
We're just pretending that the game doesn't exist now. Yeah, but no, this does have to do with, I'm like 90% sure that this has to do with the fact that the Saints quarterback situation is up in the air.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people just whose status is up in the air, and it's probably just down right now until there's a little bit of clarity out. I know it was up yesterday.
Mm-hmm. It was around maybe like 1.5 or something.
Yes, that's exactly the number I was going to say. So we'll go with that. Yeah, it was like plus 1.5 either way. I think you have a situation where Kingsbury is basically coaching for his job. Saints are like without everyone. I'm very tempted to go back to my Arizona Cardinals here. My Arizona Cardinals, who I bet the under against this year. I don't know why I'm calling them my Arizona Cardinals.
You want them to lose this game.
To go with the Arizona Cardinals this year, or this season, this game, because DeAndre Hopkins is back, and this is a Saints team that is just, they can't stop anything in the secondary, and their offense is just decimated. I think this will be just a close-ish back and forth game, but this is kind of a do or die spot for this Kingsbury, like Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray's not going anywhere, but I mean, it doesn't reflect good on him either to be going through like this bad. I mean, he's not playing well this year. Had a terrible game against the Seahawks, who he's typically dominated in the past. So I'm tempted to go with Arizona, but like, again, we don't even have a lineup right now. So I don't know how much more we want to dive into it. For fantasy purposes, there's obviously the showdown. As you can see, everyone's questionable, including both Saints quarterbacks.
I mean, Jeff, it is a battle of like 2 and 4 teams. So like on paper, we're like, oh, son of a bitch, here comes another one of those Thursday night football games. But I feel like there should be at least more points this time, like in theory, right? I mean, the Saints found a way somehow here, Jeff, to rush for 228 yards in a loss last week. And then the Cardinals have averaged just 13 points per game last week. Okay, that sucks. Never mind. But DeAndre Hopkins' return should help.
DeAndre Hopkins is definitely going to help. Marquise Brown is now out, though. So
6 weeks.
But at the same time, like Marquise Brown is not DeAndre Hopkins. Like DeAndre Hopkins is a difference maker. He goes up and gets balls. Kyler's had decent yards per attempt with DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup. That's going to help. A little bit worried about the Saints, but as you said, like they've been moving the ball regardless. Like this offense has been weirdly resilient. It's kind of been their defense that has stunk, and it looks like Olave is going to be in the lineup. So
it's wilting. It is wilting, that defense for the Saints.
I mean, if this game stinks, it's because Arizona's offense still stinks, and it's like the Saints get some points and they just sit on it. It's like 23-13. But I think I kind of agree with you. Like there is actually the potential here for a little bit of points. I'm not gonna go betting overs or anything like that. Arizona's offense, I need to see it at this point. Like before I start betting on them breaking out, you need to see it. Even with Hopkins back, I'm very interested. And this is the one line I wish we had up right now, but I wish we had the DeAndre Hopkins receiving prop up. And unfortunately we do not. So because like I'm taking the over. I mean, I'm taking the over on everything DeAndre Hopkins. It's a good matchup. And don't forget, he hasn't played, but it's not because of injury. It's because of suspension.
Oh, yeah.
Fine. So
he's going to be the healthiest dude on that football field among like 150 or however many are out there.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at for this game right now. Not exactly sure who's even going to be out there yet for the Saints. And, Kamara receptions or something like that might be interesting, but and Kyler's passing prop will be interesting. It should be pretty depressed after another bad game. And again, like the Saints just let Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow go for a big game. So that could be interesting too. But DeAndre Hopkins, the main prop target for me, I think.
Yeah, dude, what the hell's going to happen if Arizona loses a fourth straight home game here? Like, what the hell's going to happen to Kingsbury? Do you think he makes it through the season here? Like, if this team falls to 2-5 tomorrow night, or do you think they wait until the offseason to hit the reset button? I think if they don't make the playoffs and they finish with losing record, I do. It's think actually
worth, like it's worth talking about Kingsbury. I think people know, like, the tide has turned against Cliff Kingsbury. No one really thinks he's a good coach anymore. Like, he used to be, he's the hot guy out of college. Oh, he's doing some interesting things on offense.
Looked like Ryan Gosling, has the house where it looks like it's in a Peloton commercial.
Right. Yes.
Those things.
So, yeah, those things are done. Like, we're all done. We're done with Cliff Kingsbury, essentially. Like, it was cool when he had the draft at his house or whatever. But like, he's been exposed. And I mean, it really just, the one thing that he's made the playoffs. He's put together a solid year. Now, regardless of how he got there, guys that make the playoffs, typically they get a longer leash. Like that. This is why I like Nathaniel Hackett and Matt Rule. Like, those guys were they're on like the hot seat. Cliff Kingsbury probably has a little bit of leash left. If he loses this game, though, it's going to get real hot in Arizona, like hotter than August. Like I don't think he's got that long a leash, even though he did make the playoffs. This team has just not looked good in any facet. And like, when you're like, it's one thing to lose games. Even the Broncos, you can make some excuses for. Like, they've got a good defense. They're moving the ball. They're just doing dumb things to shoot themselves. The Cardinals just don't look good in any facet. So in a lot of ways, yeah, like, even though Kingsbury has had some success in the league, and it's kind of a thin thing when you say some success, it almost feels like the Cardinals are just like worse than like even just their record. Like, I mean, one of their wins was just an outright fluke. Like, so.
I agree. Cause like Murray's only real bright spot came in the fourth quarter against Las Vegas this season. Besides that, he has not looked great either, and already has 4 picks on the air.
I think that's the biggest thing, is just like Kyler. I mean, you'd expect Kyler Murray to be good enough to carry a bad team, because he has at points in the past. Like I said, his passing stats are down this year. They're bad. So, and I get it, like the banged up receiving core, but part of that's on the coach too. So yeah, interesting. I mean, if he loses this one, I think I don't expect him to get fired if he loses this game, but like, I kind of feel like if he loses this game, he will get fired. It'll just probably come a little bit later in the season.
Yeah, to me, Jeff, the Cardinals really created this own disaster, because few around the NFL thought that extending Kingsbury, and also their general manager, I believe that they extended too. Few thought that was like a good idea after the year, because that was an embarrassing playoff loss for them, but they still both received multi-year extensions. And you look at this roster and it's alarmingly flawed. And around this franchise quarterback, which that was an embarrassing offseason too, the way they handled the whole, like, you have to study like 3 hours a week. This just was never going to end well, I think, from the get-go.
It's funny. Like, we're not that far removed from the Cardinals being like, what did they start last year? Like,
or was it 8-0 or like 7-1 or something?
It was like 7-1, and they were the best team. And people were like, they're the best team in the NFC. The Super Bowl is going to go through Arizona.
Yep.
Like, that was like a year ago.
Yes, dude. And it's those second half, dude. We know Cliff Kingsbury can't win in second half.
Those 8 games, the offense just ran unbelievable. I go back to my fumble stat with the Cardinals. I think they fumbled the ball like 25 times last year, and they recovered like all but 2 of them. Like, it's just lucky things happened to them last year, and they've just been exposed at an alarming rate. So anyways, I mean, even just their roster, like you mentioned, the general manager, how do you go into a season with like they were picking guys off the waiver wire for their cornerbacks before like the week of week 1? Like, that's how bad their secondary was going into the year. I just don't know how you get to that point if you're the general manager. So, things like that, it's all just, everything's just kind of been exposed at once.
At least they have Robbie Anderson now. I mean, real talk, he could stand
help. Up human being Robbie Anderson.
That was so. Besides Antonio Brown, can you remember like an uglier like fallout that happened like so quickly? Kicked out of the game Sunday, his ass is on a plane being traded to Arizona like Monday morning. Like, it's mind boggling.
I mean, yeah, like And it's funny, like this it's almost just like another, like, why Arizona, like the team who struggling, like they're not doing well, and they want to go pick up Robbie Anderson, a guy who's getting in fights with his coaches. Like, this is going to fix what's going on. You just basically bring in another troublemaker. Like it's just, no, this is Arizona's, they're done. I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, so like,
the more I think about this, I don't even know. I can't believe I even mentioned them going. I'm taking the Saints in this game.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. Look at my guy. Because I was going to ask you just really quickly, like in DFS, like, I don't know if you feel like rostering Anderson. I think he's $5,600. Yeah. And if you pick him, you're basically hoping for a big play touchdown or like some kind of lineup, differentiation there. You know what I mean?
So I mean, like, okay, as much as like I just dissed Robbie Anderson, he can play. I mean, there's no doubt, like, he can play. He can be moved outside and in the slot, which is good for a Kingsbury offense. At the same time, like I already meant, like DeAndre Hopkins is back. Like Robbie Anderson isn't stepping into 10 targets. There's just no way, at least in my opinion, that's going to happen. So Anderson can play. He has, he put up the 100-yard game in week 1. I'm glad he got traded for my best ball teams because I did pick him in some of those. But yeah, you're basically hoping for, like, not a small miracle, but like, that he goes, like, gets just like 5 targets, maybe converts 3 of those, and one of them goes for like a 40-yard touchdown. It could happen. Absolutely. I mean, the other thing is, like, with Arizona, if we just go up and just, like, I mean, we have Hopkins, but Brown is out. Ertz is still kicking around, but I mean, he is not, like, Ertz is, oh man, like, he averaged 10 yards per catch last week, which is his best.
This just started when he dyed his hair, bro.
I mean, well, this has always been Zach Ertz's MO. He gets no yards after the catch. Like 6 catches and 47 yards. I mean, it's not happening. Anyways, but yeah, like there's really nobody else here. I mean, Rondale Moore is out there, but like he's not doing much either. I don't know. I just don't know how much upside is going to be with any of these receivers outside of Hopkins because of the scheme that Cliff Kingsbury runs. Nobody runs deep routes. Like Hopkins is like the only guy who's going to go out there and kind of get the contested ball. So yeah, you could go Robbie Anderson over Moore. That's fine. Moore will probably be out there for more snaps, but Anderson will probably be lower owned just for DFS. So
Jeff, can I just ask you really quick while you're on the topic of tight end, just before we move on, Taysom Hill, how much is he listed here? The reason I'm asking you that is because you've mentioned all of the injuries for the Saints team. Like somebody is going to have to do something. Like the Kamara is going to be expensive, like in the captain spot. But I know with Hill, and I'm asking this a little bit too because it's a couple of my fantasy teams. But I'm not the only one out there. He's not going to catch passes, but like he still has a decent floor for a tight end because of his rushing and also his passing potential here.
Dude,
so this is also a season long. This is doubling as a season long question for a lot of people out there, the millions of viewers we have.
Taysom Hill might take like some snaps under center in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Dalton's questionable too. Like, Jameis is practicing. I don't think that they're going to start Taysom Hill. I don't think that they need to because the QBs are, one of them looks like they're going to be healthy enough, but like there's a scenario where that could happen. At the very least, he's got 14 rush attempts over the last 2 games. And he's been very productive with them. Like the Saints are using him in good ways. Like it's weird to say, but like he's basically turned into like an offensive weapon because he can obviously catch the ball too. We don't even have his reception numbers up. But just because he's listed as a quarterback, obviously, but
yeah,
you can play him and you'll get credit for those. So yeah, no, I mean, like you could think about, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, you could think about captaining Taysom Hill in this game. I mean, I think that like, we can pencil him in for like 8 touches here at the very least. That's in a game where, the Cardinals aren't going to do much and the Saints get up ahead and like Kyler just continues to sputter. Taysom Hill could kind of fall in the end zone again, get 8 touches, go for one big play. And like, that could be it. So he's at least worth considering. I mean, he wouldn't be my top captain spot, but as a flex play in a Saints, like, heavy stack. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Before we go to golf, and I want to finish with some NHL picks because we teach some of your best bets for the night on the ice. Give me like, go back to the sports book real quick and just give me like one game. Right. Go one game which really stands out to you like right now. Which game you definitely would be betting, whether it's, spread, total, money line. Give me one of those. Like your game of the week, essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn, that's a big spread with the Bucks and Panthers, and the Bucks have been playing like hot garbage. And then, dude, Jets, I wanted to call like upset of the week, like Jets over the Broncos. That's essentially like a pick 'em there.
It is. It's a pick 'em, and it's. I'm so sick of talking about Denver, but like, it's probably like Denver all of a sudden being like a pick 'em with the Jets. I mean, it's an overreaction. It is like this Jets defense going up against Zach Wilson. The Broncos defense could literally win this game on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Like Zach Wilson has not had to do anything since he's come back. I mean, legitimately. So, I mean, it's not my game of the week because it's the Broncos, and I'm not gonna make it my game of the week. But like, I'm definitely going to be on the Broncos again. As sad as that is,
dude. Melvin Gordon. Did you see the story today too? Nathaniel Hackett and said he had a really good talk with Melvin Gordon. He said Melvin's going to be starting. And I'm just thinking, well, to be the starter, all you have to do is take that first snap. So maybe another one of those, like one snap, 3 yards, and your ass is out of there for Latavius Murray.
Okay, so I'm going to give a couple spots.
Okay.
I do like the Ravens this week, and I'm not really a Ravens guy, but I think the Ravens are going to be able to control the game. I think they'll shut down Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
They'll control the game on the ground. The Browns to me just look, they looked okay for a bit, but like they're just not stopping anything either. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Lamar. I am bullish on Jacksonville this week. I really do, but I want the 2.5 number. So I got to wait for that.
Okay.
But I'm going to take the Jags as well at home.
Nice.
And I'm probably just going to roll with Atlanta again at +6. I just like Cincinnati's good. They got Joe Burrow, but why Atlanta just gets no respect. They're 5-0 ATS. They just beat they didn't just beat the Bucks. So they just beat the 49ers. And they probably could have beat the Bucks if Tom Brady wasn't getting phantom calls. So like Atlanta is good. And they're going to challenge the Bengals like down the middle with their tight ends and their running backs. And they're going to stuff the run. They're going to force Joe Burrow to go back there. And potentially if they can get a little heat, it'll be tough. 6 points too much.
Yeah,
so
dude.
I'll be right back on Atlanta. Right back.
The Falcon, if they can jump ahead, that's where the Falcons like are at their best, Jeff, is when they get into that like relentless run-based offense, when they get that lead, just like they did last week against the 49ers. They got that committee of backs, and Marcus Mariota is only going to throw the football like 12 times a game.
The thing is, they've backdoor covered like 3 times too. Like they don't give up, which is exactly what we want.
Yes.
In our football teams. Like they run the ball when they're behind, they'll do it effectively. You mentioned Mariota can spring for big plays. They have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. Like it's happened quick for them, but I like watching them play. It's weird. They're a run-based team, but it's, like they go quick. They'll mix it up. I'm staying on them. I don't care.
I didn't even realize you had a battle of Heisman Trophy winners here with Marcus Mariota and smoking Joe Burrow. All right, let's go to golf, dude. Hook us up with some golf because this is a kick-ass field this week. So we can either start on the sports, so I can go DFS. We can do whatever the hell you want. Because let's see. So Rory's still sitting at +650. Any of the heavy hitters you plan on backing, guys who we haven't seen since the end of last season's regular season or the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you should look for the best number, but like even +1200 on Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, Scheffler at this point in his career, like this is pretty much what we're going to get. I mean, outside of like a prolonged slump where maybe you get like a +2000 hung on him for a week or something, or like +1800, it's not going to get much better than this. And like, yes, Rahm and Roy are in the field and JT, but like, it's not that deep a field. Like Scotty Scheffler, if he comes in here with his A game, will absolutely be there on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think this is a fair number. I really do. I think the only reason he's gotten inflated a bit is that Rahm won like over in Europe. Scheffler played at the President's Cup. He wasn't like the star. And then like everyone remembers Rory beating him at the Tour Championship. Like Scheffler being twice Rory, like that's all of a sudden it sounds pretty absurd to say it. Like, but you got to take the dip here. I think it's a good spot for Scheffler to bounce back. It's also a course where like the bigger fairways, it's long and but the fairways are so big that it really de-emphasizes power. Like when you want a player like McIlroy or Rahm, you really want them at a place like Torrey Pines that's long, has thick rough, and also hard to hit fairways, because when they get it out there and they miss the rough, they're so much closer to hole. That's where their advantage goes. It's not on these courses where it's easy for everyone off the tee. Everyone still hits it like 300 yards on the PGA Tour, even the shorter hitters. People forget. So and everyone's going to be in the fairway. And when everyone's in the fairway, the good iron players can make up the disadvantage. I think it's a good spot for Scheffler, who is a good iron player. He's probably more consistent around the green than either of those other two guys. Mm-hmm. And he's got motivation after blowing the Tour Championship. So I think it's a perfectly fine number. That's where I'm going at the top. And I don't generally bet guys on the reg under 2,000 plus.
No, you don't. So, that is one thing I've noticed about you. And I mean, honestly, like Sobel's the same way. I don't know too many of our analysts who do like, shorter numbers with some of these, larger. Yeah, and
it's fine to do it. It's just, you can obviously spread your bets around a little bit more. Yes. You can make, you don't have to pay as much to invest in guys who are plus 4,000, but I think it's a good spot to take a shot on Scheffler.
Because he was good, like not great at the President's Cup, but he ended the season pretty damn well. Minus that last hole against like Rory.
He really just had a 9-hole stretch where he just didn't. Everything just kind of bad happened at once.
Yeah, it's totally. Whose number stands out to you mid range?
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Morikawa was there like 2,800. Yeah, there he is.
I'm very tempted to jump back on Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to, but like if he shows up this week and starts, it really just comes down to the putter. I mean, he was a few shots back at one point at the CJ Cup and he just couldn't get it going, and he just didn't make any birdies on the weekend, but he wasn't that far back. He really wasn't. And I know he sputtered at the end, but I don't think he's that far off. I may sprinkle some on Colin Morikawa tonight. I don't know. I really don't hate staying on Colin Morikawa when he's plus 25 or bigger. He's just too good to be at this number. I mean, because
didn't you and some of our analysts mention you were a little nervous betting some of the guys coming back from Japan, right? For the Zozo. Was that you? I can't remember who it was.
I'm not as nervous this week about the travel for the simple fact that I think it's easier coming back to the United States because you're kind of like you're home, you're back to your routine. When you're going to Japan, everything's different. So I'm not as nervous backing the travel guys this week. Hopefully that makes sense to people.
No, it does.
So I don't mind Morikawa. He was also with Morikawa, he was over there in Japan for like early. So again, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. The guy I do like in this range is, and I've already bet it's Aaron Wise. Played once at the Shriners, wasn't like a big deal. He was like T64, but he shot 4 rounds under 70. But he's just been good. He's been a solid player, almost won the Memorial, which was an invitational tournament, similar field to this week. He's long off the tee. He's like top 5 in approaches from 200 yards in proximity. He's kind of just turned into a really good all-around player. He's 5th at this event last year. Another Tom Fazio design course, the Summit Club. I don't really just have anything bad to say about him. I think he's a player who could come in and catch this field off guard because, he's played quite a bit of golf. He's rested. And I mean, we only have a few top players here and Brahm's coming in from Spain, Rory, it's the fall. It's just like last week. I mean, like everyone is expecting like Morikawa or Cam Young to jump up and it ended up being like Keegan Bradley and Ricky Fowler.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know, dude. We were talking about ending a drought all weekend. Like there's a 3.5 year drought. We were talking for Ricky Fowler. Next thing you know, we're talking about a dude who ended a 4-year winning drought in Keegan Bradley.
So, these things happen in the fall. Ricky Fowler almost won this event last year, at the Summit Club. Like he had the lead going into round 3 and he was there like with 9 holes to go. So I think it's perfectly fine to start to take shots this week. And Aaron Wise is kind of my mid-range guy. I think you look at his number. I'm fine with it against most of these other players. Terrell Hatton's kind of interesting there too, but
I was just going to say him because he shared second place on this course last summer.
Yeah, the Palmetto at 2021 he was second.
Yeah,
and this course we've only seen it once, so it does remain to be seen whether it's actually going to play hard every year or if that was just like a misnomer and maybe this will be easier because there are some things that are easy about it. It's easy off the tee, but if it plays similar. Like guys like Hatton and Jordan Spieth, I think that's going to really help them. So, something to keep in mind. I also think it'll help players down the board if it plays tough, though. Like I think Henley is fine. If it plays tougher, it could help.
Oh, you and Russell Henley. Yeah. How far down are you willing to go on the board?
If you only need to get to like 14 under par, I think Henley is at least should be in the mix for your bets. But I'm willing to go down pretty far here, like to be honest.
Really?
I think Alex Noren is another player. If it plays tough, it'll help. And on the other side, like if it plays a little bit easier, like Davis Riley at plus 10,000, really good player. I'm just betting Davis Riley anyways. I mean, we saw him almost win on a tough course at the Valspar. It's T19 like three weeks ago in this part of the country in Mississippi. Like, he's just talented. And I think that when you get Davis Riley at this number at this point, you just need to bet him. Like, top 10, do whatever, top 5, but it's an inflated number off a bad week in Japan. He shot 68, 67 in Japan on the weekend. His start was horrendous, but he was only one shot worse than Keegan Bradley on the weekend. So how bad could he actually be playing? And I'm going to throw out one more long shot here. I actually really like this one. Kurt Kitayama. He played well on the weekend as well in Japan. I think he closed with a 65. But this is a player we have seen show up at like a lot of big events. He's like, he was up there. He's like top 5 at the Scottish Open. He was second to Rahm at the Mexico Open. He really pushed him there too. Like, it was really close at the end. And then he was the leader going into like the back 9 at the Honda Classic, and he was a first round leader there. Kurt Kitayama can play again. If this course should emphasize around the green approach and putting, and that's kind of what he does the best. Like, he's just a good all around player. He can kind of do it all. I mean, I just like these numbers on this guy. Again, it's the fall. Like, it's fall golf. We don't know what some of these top players are gonna do. Could Rory come in and blow the doors off? Yeah, but he could come in and just be like Morikawa last week and just like forget how to putt because he hasn't played in a bit. Same with like Thomas. Same with Matt Fitzpatrick. This has been the time of year when we get these kind of winners, and I like sprinkling a lot of these guys at like plus 4,500 or bigger this week.
Yeah, Matthew Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open here in our backyard. I've seen him mentioned like in a bunch of people's picks. So
I'm not really for me this week, to be honest.
Yeah. So what is he? He ranks. Oh yeah, he's pretty high up there in the field in like a bunch of very important statistical categories.
Oh, he's good. I mean, it's not like
he is good. He's on the PGA Tour, Jeff. I'm well aware that he's good.
He's okay.
So we got about 5 or so minutes to go. 5 or so minutes to go, and then you get to go outside. Okay, and there you go. Drop a deuce. It's fine. You'll be able to do that soon. You said you have NHL picks, which you and I talked. You and I talked some DFS. Would you prefer to deliver some bets? Would you prefer to deliver some DFS advice? Because we only have a 3-game slate tonight, so it's going to be hard to screw this up. Or maybe it is easier to screw it up since you don't have as many choices.
Well, we got the sportsbook open, so let's keep it there. We'll start with bets, and then we can flow into a little DFS action to end.
Okay, cool.
We'll start with the bet that I have up. I'll remove my 30 golf bets that I have up here. Apparently, I'm betting everyone.
It's a 40 leg parlay that we're building here.
Apparently, I'm betting everyone in golf this week. This is definitely, like, in terms of game, like totals, my favorite one. Under 6 goals, St. Louis, Seattle. Again, St. Louis was really shut down in their one start. Seattle's just has not been creating any chances 5-on-5. Now they're going up against like probably one of the best defensive teams in the Western Conference. The Kraken scored, I think, in their last 4 games against Seattle or St. Louis, they've scored 3 goals. So, like, this has been a bad matchup for the Kraken. I think that's right. They've been really bad against St. Louis.
Yeah, and they've also just suffered back-to-back blowout losses, and now they get to host the Blues.
Yeah. So, and to that point, like, they're at home. They've allowed 5 goals in each of their last 2 games. They're probably going to be very concentrated on just shutting down, trying to play like a little bit of a trap game and just try and limit the chances. I like the fact we're getting 6 here. I actually thought this total would be 5.5. And the fact you're getting like, minus 110 on an under 6, I love it, because I think this like the Blues offense is going to have to carry the load here for this to get to 7 goals. So I think it's a pretty safe number, like at 6. And I think there's a lot more scenarios where you get 3-1, 4-1 and hit that under. So I really like taking the under there.
It's crazy. Sorry to cut you off. It's crazy. You see the brilliance here of the NHL scheduling, right? Because you have the Kraken have played 4 games, Blues have played just 1. And then, like, Jeff, there's that argument. Like, you could have the argument if Seattle has like the rest versus like rest advantage here, but it does feel like listening to St. Louis is just like the far more superior team. Yeah.
And like, if someone were to come on and say, Jeff, like, the best bet is just take the Blues tonight, I wouldn't argue. I worry a little bit about the rust because we have seen that with COVID and the layoffs. It has affected teams. So worries me a little bit, but St. Louis is clearly the better team here. I thought they would be like minus 150. So there is some value there for me as well. The Florida game. We mentioned the Florida game as much as I want to go against the Flyers who played in Tampa last night. Like this Florida team has like 5 defensemen and like both their top defensemen are out. Like it's a skeleton crew back there. I would probably look to the over in that game, if anything, but where I really like going is just the player props in this one. There's some good, I think this will be a little bit more wide open because of the lack of defensemen that the Panthers have. And Matthew Tkachuk, it's a lot of juice, but like Tkachuk is playing 20 minutes a game. He's already averaging over 3 shots on goal per game. He should not have a 2.5 goal prop, in my opinion. So I really don't hate taking it. I know it's a low number, and this was probably at like minus 175 or minus 150 to start the day. It's probably been moved down, in my opinion. Immediately, I didn't look on a DraftKings, but I also like Konecny to go over his shots here. The top line for the Flyers are playing a ton because Tortorella knows that the bottom 6 was lineup is terrible. So Konecny's going to get a ton of minutes here. We got a weaker defense. I like it. You know, he's probably like the highest shot just from a volume perspective on the first line for Philly as well. So 2 guys here. I'm expecting a more open game because of defensive issues. I'd go over on both those props.
I mean, what's his goal prop? Like what over half a goal? I mean, it's probably for Tkachuk. It's got to be
0.5. I mean, Tkachuk anytime goal scorer is plus 130. Yeah.
So I'm looking here, like his 4 points tied for most of the team, averaging just over 21 minutes of ice time per game. And like, that's really just a taste of like what this guy can do. Because remember last year, 104 points, tied for 6th most in the NHL, 42 goals, tied for 8th most. I mean, you've mentioned like the injuries there. Like that seems like that could be an interesting way to go if you felt like it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you're getting, Philly on a back-to-back as well. I mean, it's still the Flyers. They start out well. Carter Hart's playing well, but how long will that last? They're going to get, they get rugged at some point. Like, so I don't hate that actually. Plus 130. I agree. Like if you're looking for a goal prop, that's probably the safest from this game. Just seeing if this.
Last night, his brother Brady scored a goal for the Sens. So maybe tonight is Matthew's turn.
Actually interesting. Konecny's at plus 340. I don't hate that either.
Look at us. I'm a hockey guy now, dude.
Clearly. Were you never not a hockey guy?
No, I'm just wanting you to know I've always been a hockey guy.
Fair enough. And then I got one more shots on goal prop to add to this little conglomeration of props. The Jets allow a lot of shots, 35 per game this year so far. They're going to allow a lot of shots again this year. I don't think anything's really changed there. Mikko Rantanen, it's a little bit juiced now. So, I mean, I would have liked this more at minus 125, but Rantanen over 2.5 shots. Again, like when you're getting 2.5 prop on Rantanen against a team that allows a lot of shots, I think it's fine to take it. Again, wish it was like minus 140 or something, but I'd be looking there as well. I think that's fine. So anyway,
I mean, it's always a bummer. We have like a slower night around the NHL, but as you have pointed out, even with 3 games, there's always some value to be had. Very quickly before we get out of here, you want to go to the DFS side? Just tell someone, give us your favorite DFS play tonight. It can be any position, or if you can.
I'm not even going to open it up because I don't have it open.
All right, but, Evan, screw it, dude.
I'll just talk it through.
Yeah,
I think McKinnon is a must play.
3-game slate, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like he's 8,100 there. Again, we don't have the graphics up, but he's 8,100. And then, you've got Gustav Forsling, who's just going to play a ton of minutes on defense for the Panthers, who's 4,600. Again, like those 2 guys, you just need to start lineups with them. You could probably argue that Tkachuk you could throw in there as well. I know I like Farabee as like a value play from the Philly side. And then like looking down, I think one interesting way, if you want to get contrarian, like looking down the Blues lineup, I don't think there's going to be a ton of goals there, but St. Louis should still win that game and score 3 or 4. So, looking to the third line or something of the Blues, not a bad idea at all. They're deep, like their third line can get it done. They're going to have a significant like depth advantage over the Kraken. So that's the way, if you want to get contrarian, fill out lineups with some bottom 6 of the Blues.
Dude, you just crushed it, man. I want you to know something. I feel like you've been doing some really great work lately. Probably because you're one of the few analysts we still have standing.
Yeah, I mean, when you're the only guy who's available, I mean,
everyone else is having kids. Like, it's ridiculous. Did you?
No, it's look. Hockey season started. Like, football's in full swing. Golf's still on.
I know.
Time to shine, man. I mean,
your NASCAR career, your season comes to an end this week, right? I think that's the finale.
I hope so. Dear God.
You know what? In all
seriousness, I have really enjoyed betting. NASCAR. It's like opened my eyes. I admit. I'm actually excited to do it again next year. So.
I know, it's opened your eyes to the Pierce Dietrichs of the world.
Well, I mean, geez, I don't know if I want to open my eyes to what Pierce does for his life, but
all right, brother. Kick-ass show. Thanks, producer Eamon, AC on the ones and twos. Jesse Cofield will have you guys and gals for an at-home edition of The Sweat tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time on all of the DraftKings social media channels. So you guys check that out, including here on YouTube. Much love. We'll see y'all tomorrow.